Whether y'all your social media platform or in the next generation of social media, I'm your host of the YouTube channel Dr. Do. I'm your host Dr. Do here. Alright y'all? Today's video we're going to do another history video of another military war right here y'all. We are going back to 32 years ago, back in the 1990s, all right, the early 90s. Okay, y'all. This war was considered to be one of the biggest, one of the last major war that happened in the 20th century. It considered had changed a lot of things in the Middle Eastern countries and all the whole entire world itself. This war would be considered known as the Gulf War. The Gulf War, you guys don't know what the Gulf War is. It's a war that happened back in 1990 on August 2nd, when Saddam Hussein, who the leader of Iraq and the Ba'ath Party, launched an invasion of a small country that under Iraq and between Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. They invaded Kuwait within 2 days back in 1990. Alright, before we get to the video, alright y'all, if you guys new to the channel, alright, be sure to join this channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're almost about to hit 3,000 y'all, we are getting there, okay y'all? Plus, y'all haven't seen, if you guys new to the channel, or you are here a little longer, I got some news to tell you. I got a new mug, which you guys saw a couple days ago. Check that out, right here. The Dr. Do boot, right here, y'all. The newest member of the Dr. Do crew, which I still working on chugging the drink, because I never had chug a boot before, alright, y'all? It's pretty unique, right? And also my name, my official name, Dr. Do here, right? Thank you to my fan for made this boot out. I'd like to thank him so much, alright? And also, we're almost there, alright, y'all? Once we hit 3,000, 7 more thousand subscribers, so we hit 10,000, alright y'all? We need to keep this channel going and growing, okay y'all? So, let's get to the background of this story of the Gulf War. You see, back in 1980, Saddam Hussein became the new leader of Iraq under the government name of the Ba'ath Party. He was a sadistic dictator, like one of the most evil dictators of the 20th century, with Stalin, Hitler, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, all those people, alright y'all? What make him it was awful, alright? He killed over 2 millions of his own people, and also those who live in Iraq, such as the Kurds. It's sad. The story about what happened in Iraq, led by the maniac dictator Saddam Hussein. He is pure evil. Alright, he doesn't care for anybody as long as he be in power, as long as he had the power to do whatever he wants. During that time, the reason for his invasion of Kuwait, because back in 1980 he launched a war against another country, Iran, who recently overthrew the US backed government in Iran, and all including the 100-day hostage crisis of Iraq. Saddam sees Iran as a threat to his government and the new leadership by the supreme leader of Iran. He launched a war against Iran for the past 7 years between each other, losing over millions of Iraqis and Iranian men, women, and children during that progress. But the aftermath of that war, he was in debt. He was in a debt of over $14 billion to country that supplying him military equipment, such as by the US, by Soviets, by Egypt, by Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. Mostly Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, because they've been sending money and military equipment to aid Iraq defeating the Iranian Revolution in Iran and stuff. And Saddam would say economy is collapsing badly due to all that budget military money on the war against Iran itself. It also crippling the economy in Iraq. They're about to be in bankrupt, alright? They refuse to pay that much money to Iraq, to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait itself. So Iraq trying to find a solution to pay off all that debt itself, and also trying to get more oil to help them fund their military and all that thing they're trying to do. They tried to become the most powerful country in the world. By that time, Iraq was the fifth most powerful country during that time. It also was the most powerful country in the Middle East during that time. I'm like, jeez. It also ranked fifth most military army in the world, including his famous military army, the Republican Guards. His Republican Guard. They were supposed to be the elite fighting force during that time. And so Iraq decided to do something that is unnecessary, unthinkable, what he did. Instead of paying the debt to Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, in August 2nd, 1990, he decided to launch the invasion of Kuwait. Within 2 days, he took over the country completely. Made a puppet state, the Republic of Kuwait, and made Kuwait become the 29th province state in Iraq, annexing the country. And what happened? Saddam Hussein never seen this coming. The UN was mad with him for what he did. Invading Kuwait was unnecessary. To him, to his point of view, that Kuwait is supposed to be like part of Iraq throughout the decade during when Britain have Iraq under control during that time and stuff. And Kuwait was a little territory part of Iraq, but they cut it and made it into a little country itself. Plus, you got Saudi Arabia and 2/3 of Arab state country were mad with Saddam for what he did. Alright? Middle Eastern countries were mad with him for that because Kuwait is like one of the richest countries in the world and also have the rich oil production in their country. Alright? You could send money, gas, and oil product to all your Middle Eastern countries and all the US and other countries. And the UN was mad with Saddam what he did. The UN asked Saddam to withdraw all their forces out of Kuwait until till December or January, alright y'all? But he refused. But he demanded UN to order all US forces withdraw from all those nations in the Middle East. In Saudi Arabia, in Israel, Palestine, all the force Israel to withdraw their forces from other little territory in the Middle East too, And they refused. They refused to bargain with Saddam Hussein. So the past couple months, the UN had enough. President George Bush asked for the UN to build a coalition against Saddam Hussein and his Iraqi army. It consists of the country, Saudi Arabia, France, UK, Egypt, and Kuwait itself, man, alright? That's in UK, US, France, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Egypt too, And they decided to form a coalition against Saddam and his army, alright? So, in January 17, 1991, the coalition launched a 40-day airstrike on the city in Baghdad and other major places in Iraq, crippling their air forces, crippling the city, crippling everything that they see as a threat to the coalition invasion to take back Kuwait. During the 42 days, Iraqi army tried to push yourself into Saudi Arabia in the city near the border, but the Saudi Arabian forces in 2 days put the Iraqi forces back. Alright, y'all? You see, Saddam Hussein thought he could win the war against the coalition with the amount of army he had over 650,000 Iraqi forces, including 5,500 tanks. Mostly T-72 tanks, which I mentioned in my previous video a while back. I recommend that you want to know what the video is, here's the title for this video. I recommend you go check it out about it, alright? He thought that he got the offensive terrain and how to beat US forces and stuff. He like, bring it on, you coalition. You can't beat me. I'm the fifth most powerful country in the world. And the UN like, you're gonna get crushed. And so after 40 days of airstrike came on February 24, 1991. The coalition army were sent to put the Iraqi army and its forces out of Kuwait. During the 4th day, they met with less resistance against the Iraqi army. More than hundreds of thousands of Iraqi forces surrender out a fight because they know they cannot win against the coalition. Plus, they were not trained well as we expected because most of who were not good don't want to be part of the military. They want to leave because they always fought their previous battle with Iran. Most of them were experienced one, but they don't want to fight. And also, some of them are conscript men who didn't want to fight. They were forced into war against the coalition. And also, when it comes to tanks in battle, there are over at least 950,000 coalition forces, mostly U.S. forces, including 3,113 Abrams tanks. This is the tank we all know and we all know today. They were sent to take on the Iraqi tank forces. Alright, this is the first time that the Abrams tank was sent to battle. Alright, ever since they were created back in 1980. Alright, y'all? You need to look at it this way, alright? When it comes to the battle between the T-72 against the Abrams tank, who do you think will win? Alright? It depends on the armor and the well-experienced tank crew. Alright? And the velocity of the battle scenario. And get what happened. The T-72 tanks got their butts whooped by the M1A1 tank crew, man, alright? Because their rounds are not really powerful at all. They were giving trained missiles which they are not good with, and their tank cannot penetrate the Abrams tank. They can't penetrate the armor of the Abrams tank, which is more tougher than they realize. And then Abrams tank is starting to pick off each tank they ever seen from the enemy side. Alright, y'all? That's what I want to tell you about. To me, T-72 tanks are not as strong as you see, even though they're fast, but they're considered obsolete during that time. Alright, y'all? You have to look at the crew. The crew were not doing great against the A1 Abrams tank. Most of them leave before they want to get killed, or even being vaporized by the tank. By the time the tank got hit by a tank American shell, alright? And the whole entire tank will explode. The turret will be flying up after being hit by a tank. Get what I mean, y'all? And so the Iraqi army are starting to lose a lot of ground forces, and they're more land they lose. They fall back and lose Kuwait, but they try to defend Iraq after they lose Kuwait. They thought they would win on their land, but they were wrong. So coalition got into Iraq, pushing the Iraqi forces further and losing more men, more tanks they ever realized. But however, by February 28, 1991, a ceasefire happened. Iraq had made a negotiated that they would surrender to the coalition. And the U.S. forces and all their coalition allies had managed to beat Saddam and his Iraqi forces. This was a big, huge victory for U.S. because that war shows how U.S. is strong, how powerful this country was. All right, and so the war between Iraq and the UN coalition, it was embarrassing for Iraq to lose the war against that country. All right, y'all. From August 2nd, 1990 to February 28, 1991, Iraq had lost over 350,000 of their forces out of 650 they had. And the tank they lost, over 55 of the 5,500 they had against UN, over 3,300 T-72 Iraqi tanks were destroyed. For the coalition, they lost over 291 men against Iraq, and 956 out of the 956 forces of the 3,113 tanks against Iraq, they only lost 31. It was less men they lost than expected. And the aftermath of all of this, Saddam Hussein remained in power and remained in power to 2003 when U.S. and the other coalition launched the invasion of Iraq, removing Saddam and his government for good. So this is the story of how the Gulf War happened and why would be what would happen if Saddam never invaded Kuwait. It would be very different. We would see Saddam still in power like in his 80s and stuff, and U.S. would not be able to show how powerful they were when the Gulf War happened. So this story will be remembered throughout our lives, okay y'all? So this is my military history of Kuwait. I thank you all so much for this video. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification down below, and I see you guys next time.